Shall we say I arrive in the airport or I arrive at the airport? Well, these tiny words are confusing and many English learners often commit mistakes when using prepositions. So, how should we avoid making these mistakes? Hi, ENGLISHERA here, and I hope your day is going swimmingly. Today, let's talk about some common mistakes in prepositions that you should avoid making. I know for sure that when learning English as a second language, it's quite hard to master prepositions because they have many different uses, and so they turn out to be so tricky. So, let's dive into them. You should fill up the form. Well, we say you should fill out the form.
Fill out this form.
Fill out an application.
When you fill up something, you make it become full. Just like I fill my car up with fuel, or my inbox is filled up with spam emails. But when you fill out, you complete a form, you complete a document. Like if you want to join a gym, you need to fill out the form, or we need to fill out this application form before we proceed. So, if you want to say that you're completing a form or a document, you need to use the preposition out with fill. So we say fill out the form. I will discuss about culture. Well, we actually say I will discuss culture. Discuss.
Discuss what?
Discuss your future.
The word discuss is often mixed up with talk about because they have the same meaning. That's why many English learners combine discuss and talk about together, ending up using discuss about. So we either say discuss or talk about. Like let's say this presentation discusses the effects of social media, or this presentation talks about the effects of social media. So we either use discuss or talk about, but never discuss about. I travel to work by foot. Well, we say I travel to work on foot.
On foot.
On foot.
Well, on foot is a phrase, okay? On foot is a phrase, and that means to travel by walking. So if you go to a place on foot, you go there by walking. We confuse on with by most of the time because we use by for mode of transportation, like I go to school by bus or I travel to work by train. But again, if you want to say that you walk to go somewhere, you say on foot. I go to school on foot, or I travel to work on foot, not by foot. I arrive in the airport. Well, we say I arrive at the airport.
You arrive at the airport?
We arrive at this place.
Because we use arrive at for buildings or part of buildings. Like let's say I arrive at the train station just before the train left. Or we arrive at the museum and found out it was closed all day. So at is used for buildings or part of buildings. However, it's possible to use arrive in for towns, cities, or countries.
Arrive in Italy.
We'll arrive in Tennessee.
Let's say, I think he will arrive in London after an hour. Or, we have just arrived in Beijing. So that's the difference between arrive in and arrive at. And it's okay to use both of them, but you have to make sure when to use them. I ask to you a question. Well, we say I ask you a question.
I ask you. Can I ask you?
In this sentence, ask is followed by an object pronoun. We don't add the preposition to after the word ask unless we are requesting something. Like, I ask you to help me, or we should ask to see the professor. We can also use the preposition for when we want someone to give us something. Like let's say, I always ask for an extra ketchup for my fries. Or they ask their boss for a salary raise. So that's how we use the verb ask with preposition. I am married with a teacher. Okay, we say, I am married to a teacher. So to is the correct preposition to use in this situation.
Married to who?
You're not married to me, you're married to your friends in the bar.
You're married to him?
We say married to someone, like I am married to John, or he got married to Jane, or she's married to an engineer, he is married to a model. It's also possible to say married with in formal English, like when you're filling out the form just to add information to your state of marriage. Like married with children, it means you're married and has children. Or married with dependents, it means you're married and you have dependents. So if you want to say that you're married to someone, use the preposition to. Married to someone, not married with someone. I agree to you. Well, we say, I agree with you.
I agree with you.
I agree with you.
We agree with a person when we have the same opinion as them. Just like my teacher says, reading is very important, and I agree with her. I don't agree with my relatives when it comes to politics. But we say agree to do an action. So agree to is followed by a verb, and this means you promise to do the action. Just like we agree to meet at 8 o'clock, or I agree to give them a ride from home. So that's how we use agree with preposition. Agree with a person if you have the same opinion, or agree to do an action if you promise someone that you do the action. It depends of the situation. Well, I usually hear this, but we actually say it depends on the situation.
Depends on what?
Depends.
On what?
Because the verb depend always goes with the preposition on. And we never say depends of. It's just like, are you going to the park this weekend? It depends on the weather. When she was young, she would always depend on her mother financially. So depend on, we don't say depend of. Depend always goes with the preposition on. I need to go to home. Well, we say I need to go home.
Go home.
I just need to go home.
I usually hear this from my students. Most of my students add the preposition to with go when it comes to talking about going home. Well, it makes sense because you go to a place, right? But in the case of go home, we don't need to add the preposition to after the verb go, because home can be treated here as an adverb of place, just like go there, go here, go up, go inside. We say go home. So again, we don't say go to home, we say go home. I look at the mirror to see myself. Well, we say I look in the mirror to see myself.
Look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror.
Well, both look at the mirror and look in the mirror are okay to use. It's just that they are tricky because they carry out different meanings, and you have to be careful of the meaning of what you're saying. When you look at the mirror, you just look at the object itself rather than using it. It means you look at the mirror physically. Is it dusty or so?
I mean, look at this mirror.
But when you look in the mirror, you look into the glass to see your reflection, to see how you look like.
Look in a mirror.
So that is the main difference between look in the mirror and look at the mirror. Great additional learnings for you to avoid these preposition mistakes when speaking or writing in English. Which of these mistakes do you hear the most? Share them in the comments. And I hope you found this video useful, so please hit thumbs up, share this video with your friends who want to learn and improve their English, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more English lessons and tips. And I hope to see you soon on my next video.